So right here is the mess I am working on. I have a battery. It's just a 8 amp hour battery. I have some wires. I have more of this, but right now for this I have this little plug-in that mounts on the outside, so I can run like a 12 volt or a solar cell to it. I have a bunch of little switches, some cool little lights that I'm hoping are brighter than I think they're going to be. I also have my Renogy Wanderer, which will be my sort of charger. And then I got one of these, and let's see, where did the other one go? Oh yeah, right here, I'm in the back. 12 volt. I did have a 12 volt and dual USBs, but the one that came with it was dead, which is unfortunate. So I don't have it, but I do have a voltage meter, and of course the Renogy Wanderer has these two outs right here, so I'm just going to use these for this go around. The next one is going to be just a run of these little guys that I order, but for now this is what I'm working with. My goal is in a day I'll crank one of these out. Alright, so here are my wonderful plans. This is, of course, trying to look like the box. I got a light in the back and a light on each side. I got my switches, my plugs, and this is roughly where the battery will sit. I'm actually going to put some of that spray foam in here once I get the charger mounted to fill in this gap, keep the battery from moving around, and maybe even make it mildly buoyant if that happens. I drew out the distance of the switches and the plugs to make sure it would fit on there, so then I drew that off. One thing I wanted you to check out is this. The outline with the exterior line is the Renogy Wanderer. These interior lines are, it's just that tiny amount right there that I need to shave off of both sides, and it will fit inside the lid on this. So that's what I'm going to actually take this and sand off the edges. First I'm going to actually tape over this and the little things on the front and the switches, so all the dust and stuff kicked up from grinding on that plastic's not going to get in the electronics or foul something up. So that's the goal for tonight. I'll see how far I get. So I have my circles drawn out. This, in the long run, I probably would just mount this on here and then do it if I want it to look more finished. But I'm just going to drill these two holes out. Go from there. Standard fare for the dinner table around here. Let's see, right about. Next one. Add my one. Now clean up the mess before company comes over. I have the 12 volt one. It will go in through here, and then my meter will go in here. If you notice, oh, that's close, but it works. Let's turn it this way. So there you go. It's all sneaking in there. As you can see, I did trim it. Fits great. It can move back and forth. Problem is this lip. It's too much. So back to the drawing board about placement of this. We'll see. So we've made it to where I'm putting these little lights in. I've already got one on the front right here. I got one here and one here and then one down there. So basically my goal is you can hit a switch and have this like in the center of a table, and it'll spread light. Not the brightest light, but enough light to eat or do something. So I'll keep you posted. I gotta find my drill bit for my switches because of course I didn't put it up from my last project, and so it's a pretty good sized drill bit, so I gotta find it so I can put my switches in. This is the progress so far. I'm actually going to put another switch right here, and it will just go to this one right here, so I can actually use it like a flashlight carrying this in theory. So I'll keep it posted. I'm going to go ahead and put all these things in. I'll put in the charging port here and mock up all the switches, crash, and go from there. Alright, so look at that mess. Ooh. And in here, this is my favorite stuff. Not really favorite, but I have shrink wrap and connectors and fun things. So I'm going to wire the battery to one of these plugs, the red one. Okay. From the red one, it will go to these guys and this guy. Okay, so this is sort of like the gatekeeper for all power, minus this one here. This one here is just going to be an on-off switch for this front light here. Okay. And this is where the power comes in from either a solar cell or a cigarette lighter, and it will go straight from here to the Renogy charger. The battery will go to the Renogy charger, so I'll show you how I get all hooked up. So right now, here's my progress. Of course, that cord right there is where I plug in to charge it. It's running up here to my Renogy Wanderer. And right here, these, see, it has a solar cell, but any kind of power input. And then you got your battery, and then you got a light. I'm not really going to use this per se, because this actually has to be turned on and off. And I got the switches in here, so that's what's going to happen. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in 2 USBs. Probably what I'll do is just have like an iPhone charger and then a USB-C for my Samsung, and just have those tucked away inside for now. I did buy an extension that goes to here, and then it goes, and it's a flush mount, but it's not a circular one, it's square, and so that's a little bit more work than I want to do on this. So all these little tabs, I got these female connectors. Let's see, these things here, you see that? Oh, come on, everybody wants to, there we go. So I bought these. I got 10 of them, which might not be enough for this project, but I'll keep you posted. And I'm going to run a wire from here, put a female connector there and there, and we're actually going to put 2 wires in, 2 wires in. One wire thicker going to the charger, and a smaller wire going to one of the toggles. I'll show you when I'm done. Right, so these are the 2 wires I have right here. I'm going to actually put these into a female connector, and the red wire has a fuse holder on it, and that way hopefully nothing will melt or burn. But I'm actually going to twist those together, put them in there, crimp it, but also put some heat shrink on it, because you do risk not having an awesome connection by having 2 wires jammed in there, I think, without soldering them. But I'm actually not. I'm just going to put them in there for now. But I think between crimping it together, twisting those wires, and the heat shrink, I shouldn't worry about anything. This is what it looks like with the heat shrink on. I've got these 2 wires pinched up in here, and then I crimp it. But then with the heat shrink, I heat that up so it pulls together. So hopefully these 2 wires won't get pulled out, and it'll last for some time. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to feed this into my Renogy Wanderer along with the other wire. That will be the negative, and go from there. So on these 2 wires, you can see I actually stripped a little bit more insulation, because on the last one, what I was having a problem with is I got the wires in there, but the insulation together was too thick, and as a result, I don't think the wires got in there as much as I would like. So I stripped off more this time. And then, of course, the heat shrink, if there's any wire exposed, it'll cover that up. So that's why I cut off a little bit more than I did last time. So here's the heat shrink. So I'm going to gently roll over it. Keep it moving so it doesn't like catch it on fire. Mm-hmm. Come on. Mm-hmm. See, it's holding it on pretty good. I'll do this back side of it just a little bit more. Yeah, not too shabby. I like it. So I've completely destroyed the kitchen counter, but I have, I think, everything plugged in. So from the power source, I have my positive and negative. My negative is already, no. My negative here, if you follow that, it goes here. So it's already plugged on the terminal. So all I'm waiting for this guy. So I'm gonna plug him on the terminal. And let's see here. I can see what I'm doing too. We'll swap hands. Let's see. Can bring it along. Come on. Alright. And as you can see here, 12.8 volts. It is working, folks. No load. I don't know what the 15 stands for, but no volts coming in, no amps coming in, battery's 12 volts. That is super cool. I think the 15 is the type of battery, so I need to make sure I look that up again. But how awesome is that? So we have a box that's going to be working before long. Sweet. You see this? This is the negative coming off the battery, and I'm putting it on one of these female blade connectors, but I put a second wire in there because this one's going to jump to the other side. So on these two guys right here, I'm going to feed it, and then it'll jump over to this one. Okay, so I don't have to have two separate wires going here and going there. I just got the one, and then it'll link over to here. And of course I got the heat shrink on there, so I'll scooch that down, heat it up, and then go over here and do the same thing. Here is the diagram of inside the box. You have the battery, the switches, the half circles are the lights. From the positive, you have two wires, one going to that main switch and then one to the battery charger. From the main switch, you actually have several wires coming off. One going directly to the switch for that front flashlight, one going to the next switch, and from there goes to the voltmeter and the 12-volt charger. All the positives from the lights get tied together. From there, the negatives go out. One goes to the charger, one is going to go to that front light that is independent, and the other is going to be by itself, because what's going to happen is all of the negatives are going to have to tie to that one line. So those negatives go to the voltmeter and the 12-volt charger, but then also the lights, all of their negatives are going to have to tie into that as well. Okay, so they're going to start off, get hooked up, and hopefully this helps. All of those negative wires, of course, in an automobile just tie into the frame because that's the ground. Well, I don't really have that with this box, so that's why they're all run together like that. And of course, you got your 12-volt in. That is going to my battery charger as well. So you have a positive and negative from the 12-volt in going to the very first two spots on my charger, and then you have two more wires going to the battery. Hopefully that helps. Right. So this is my plan for the box that I've been working on. The whole point of it is I can plug this into my car, which that's what it is right now. And then my cooler, well actually it's a refrigerator freezer, will plug into there, right here through this thing. And the idea is that plug is only hot when the motor is on. So when I cut it off, in theory, this will stay running, and even though the battery in there is small, it should be enough intermittently to keep running. So yeah, so we're gonna plug it all together and make sure nothing shorts out. Success! So here's my voltage meter, and then it actually, let's look at that thing. It's kind of not very visible. It is down to 11.7, pulling the refrigerator's on 31. Not that I need a refrigerator right now, because, well, that noise is sleet falling. There you go. Yay for sleep. So I don't know, maybe it's a little too much for my little battery setup. We'll see. I'll keep you posted on the developments. So this is going to show you kind of what's going on. I have it plugged in over here, and it's going into my car over there. So if I open this up, ta-da! This is the solar charger I use. So pick him up, I'll be able to cycle through. Hang on, hold this steady for you. So it's showing 0 amps load, so nothing's running. It's got 15, I think that's the type of the battery. So this is saying it's running 13.6 volts in. It says PV, but of course that's my car, and not many amps, so it's showing 0 amps running in. And then 12.6 battery. Okay, so here's the deal. If I got 13.6 going in, 12.6 is my battery, well then it should be charging, but it's not showing it should be showing little PV cells right there. Okay, so my car's battery might not be impressive enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to my wife's car and see if that makes a difference, because she has a bigger vehicle. Let's try it out. This is showing 2.8 amps going in. If you notice, it's got that little photovoltaic cell right there showing off that it's working, going to the battery. Of course I got 0 load on my battery, but that's not cool, because, well, it's cool that, one, it works, stoked about it working. What's not cool is the juice that my little Jetta cranks out of the back isn't enough for that thing to charge. That being said, that's not a total deal breaker, because I can always just mount a solar cell on the top, which would be quite nice anyway. But there you have it. This thing works, which is great. What's not cool is it doesn't work in my vehicle. So maybe I spent all that time and made something for my wife, which isn't a bad thing anyway. Alright, there you go. Hope you enjoy this video, and like and subscribe if you don't mind. Thanks. Add insult to injury, it's still plugged in. The engine is off, and it's still charging. Oh well. I think there might be a way to adjust the settings for input and output, but for the time being, well, that thing will be very happy in the back of the car charging away. So, poor Jetta, we'll get there.